Hi, I'm Derek Hilton, and my channel is all about photographing and filming wildlife. Now what have I got in store for you today? Let's take a look. Well, hi and welcome to my office and the second part of my review on the UX180. I've finally got myself an infrared light so I can check out this camera in infrared mode. Now we're limited to what we can actually control on the camera when we're in infrared mode. We can use whatever resolution we like, whatever frame rate we like. I'm using Ultra HD 50 frames per second. The shutter and the aperture are locked in automatic, we can't change that, as well as auto gain is on, which worries me a lot because it's probably going to go higher than I would like, expecting to see a bit of noise here and there. But anyway, I'm going to film the agile antechinus, that little carnivorous marsupial that I study. Hopefully they come out, take the bait, and I get some great footage, really test the camera out. The camera is set at 2.8 meters away from my subject. The infrared light is set at 2 meters away. There is quite a bit of noise and grain, but it's the type that we can certainly get rid of with using a third-party plug-in for Premiere Pro. Moving the infrared light to 1 meter away from the subject has helped a lot, cutting down the noise and grain quite substantially. Well, the UX180 is pretty good in infrared mode. I'm quite excited for the future, being able to have a usable, sellable clip. Yeah, it's something I've wanted for a long time, being able to study animals at night, especially the agile antechinus, that little carnivorous marsupial that I showed you just before. That's what I'm mainly filming at the minute and really want to know more about them. So the infrared, yeah, it's going to help me out a lot. And it all comes down to the light though for the UX180. It has no low light capabilities at all. So having a very powerful light is very essential. Keeping that grain and noise to a minimum or completely wiping it out. Now, being a novice when it comes to infrared lights, because it's my first time with them, looking online, yeah, it was pretty hard trying to find the right thing. But I knew what I wanted from a light more than anything was to be able to go the distance. My only way I can watch out for something coming is the camera itself. It has to be on all the time, waiting, ready for action as soon as my subject turns up. The light has to go the distance with the camera. So that's what I was looking for. There's a few lights that were a bit more powerful than this, but they didn't go any longer than an hour. I needed something that would go for at least 4 to 5 hours. According to the specs on this, it'll go up to 6 hours without changing the battery. Now, it takes a 9-volt battery. I've bought myself 2 rechargeable ones so I can go the distance. But being able to go for more than 4 hours is just fantastic, and it did it well. So it's awesome little light, and I'll have a go at the name. I'm pretty sure this is how you pronounce it. Lucent is the company name. It's the Infrared Flood Pro. Cost me $100 delivered to Australia. Great little light, loving it. But I'm going to have to keep searching online, get a bigger, more powerful light source and have a few of them so that I can set up a whole scene, say 4 meters or so I can actually pan and follow my subject. That would be awesome. And there's a couple of things I had to leave off the last review because I ran out of time, but I thought I'd put them on to this one. And the UX180 does not have a light meter for exposure. You have to use the waveform monitor. That makes it pretty awkward to really judge when we're getting into twilight when to stop filming. Now, the Canon XF300 that I keep referring to has a light meter, and it made it really easy to judge when to stop filming before I got any noise. From dead on perfect exposure, we go down into the negatives 3 notches. So once it got to that 3rd notch, I knew I had to stop filming. It had gone past its light capabilities. Then I'd have to throw the light on, whatever. UX180 waveform monitor, man, it is so hard to judge. I'm trying to get better at it, but I'm using my eyes more than I'm using the waveform monitor. One of the other things I didn't get to talk about with my last review is the high sensitivity mode. I've had quite a bit of playing with it, and I've come to this conclusion that it's a better option than using gain. Normal sensitivity mode gives us somewhere around the same amount of light as using 6 dB of gain. High sensitivity gives us somewhere around 12 dB of gain. It's a bit cleaner, it's a little bit better, so yeah, it's a better option. There's a couple of things on the camera that I'm really unhappy with. The first one being the internal fan is quite loud. The onboard microphone picks it up quite easily, especially when things are quiet in the forest or inside in a small room. Rendering the microphone useless. It's unusable. The other thing is slow motion. Lack of detail, terribly milky looking, so it makes the clips unsellable. One of the things that I bought the camera for was I was really hoping that I could have a usable slow motion. Yes, 100 frames per second isn't all that fantastically slow, but it would have been enough for me if it was clean and sharp. My subject moves at a phenomenal speed, and I need to slow it down so I can see how it jumps and how it lands, things like that. The thing about the Agile Antechinus is that it jumps a lot, and sometimes it misses its target and falls to the ground. Now, it actually lands like a cat. It doesn't matter how fast it's going, how many G-forces are against it, it will land on all fours every time. And I would have loved to have been able to film that. Oh, I can film it, but it doesn't look all that nice. So anyway, I sent an email to Panasonic about my concerns, and after 3 weeks or so, I got my reply. And here it is. Hi Derek, the factory agreed that the fan noise will be picked up by the onboard microphone, especially recording in a quiet environment. To minimise the noise, an external shotgun microphone is strongly recommended. Well, I was quite shocked with that. It took me a little while to really process what I just read. Yes, pretty ridiculous. It would have been better to bluff me and say something like, we're sorry about the onboard fan being noisy, we're looking into it and we're trying to come up with a solution. But instead I get, come buy a shotgun microphone and then you won't have to worry about it. I don't know what it sounds like to you, but it's more or less saying to me, if you wanted to use the onboard microphone, you should have bought a different camera. When I'm out and about filming with this camera, out in the forest, whatever, and I want to talk to the camera, and it's quite windy, and I need to use an external microphone with a dead cat on to cut down the wind. Panasonic's mount that goes on the side here, and I'll get that over here, isn't positioned well enough for my shotgun microphone. It sticks out too far and you can see it quite easily on the screen. That's where it mounts. That part there comes from Panasonic. It's their mount and it fits onto there. yeah, it's with the dead cat on, I can't push it back any further, so it shows. So to save any hassles with that, I had made up this plate that fits on there, takes the microphone up a bit higher and also back a bit, so you can't hear much of the fan noise in normal conditions when it's a bit windy or whatever out in the open. Well, I have made it to the top of Stony Point. Magnificent views in any direction, 360 degrees. That's helped a lot. I need to adjust this bracket a bit more, make a new one, have it over the top of about the middle of the camera and a bit more forward. Would be a bit more better for me anyway. So that was my solution to help out outdoors. Indoors, no, you'll hear it. The camera's got to be right back, microphone's up close to the subject. Right, move on to slow motion now. And their reply to that was, regarding the soft picture in 100 frames per second mode, due to the speed limit of the sensor, the picture resolution will be lower than expected. Unfortunately, this cannot be improved. There you go, that's what I sort of realised anyway. The sensor in this camera is cheaply made. Bitterly disappointed that I don't have some slow motion that I could actually use and sell. It's going to throw me back I don't know how many years. I had to borrow money to buy this camera. I don't know when I'll be able to buy a camera that can do good slow motion. It's looking like this camera for me is going to be more of an infrared camera. I'm going to have to look into the future when I can get a couple of dollars and buy one that will do good slow motion, which is a bummer. I wanted one camera that could do it all, but it's not going to happen. Well, it's time to wrap up this review on the UX180. Now I'm placing this camera in the marketplace not as a pro camera. It just doesn't hit the mark. It's an overpriced consumer camera, and it all comes down to that cheap sensor that they've put in here. They're selling it as a pro camera, but if you're going to have a pro label on it, you have to have a decent sensor. I know what Panasonic are going to say when they hear this. They're going to say, if you want a better sensor, then you have to buy our higher-end camera. It cost me $5,050 in Australia. Yes, we have a lot more taxes than you get in other countries, so it would have been cheaper overseas, but that's a hell of a lot of money to pay for what I'm going to call it a consumer camera. That's what it is. It's a consumer camera with some nice bits around it. If you'd have put a bit of love into this camera and put a good sensor in there, Panasonic, this would have been your best seller for 2017. There's some great things on here, but the sensor just drags it down. That's where I'm placing it. It's my opinion. This is an overpriced consumer camera. Well, that's all I'm going to say about this camera. I'm sick of talking about it. If you'd like to have a look at my first part of the review on the UX180, I'll leave a link in the description part underneath this video. You can click on that, go and have a look at it. I talk about the inners and outers workings of this camera. The monitor, touch screen, have a really good look at the slow motion images, how milky and soft focus they are. Talk about autofocus and a host of other things. So it's well worth your while. Go and have a look at it. Alright, now if you'd like to subscribe to my channel, click on the subscription button down below and you'll get notification whenever I do anything else. Now I have been renovating my house for about 5 or 6 weeks, quite intensively, so I have had the energy to even come out here. I've been too tired, and I haven't had the time neither. That will come to an end soon, so in the next 3 weeks or so I'll be doing some more videos. I'll be practicing, further improving myself by moving on from just speaking to the camera, winging it. My next phase is actually writing scripts and doing voiceovers, really practicing and moving on, better preparing myself for the documentary that I'm slowly building. Okay, if you'd like to go and have a look at all the things I've been doing over the years, click on my icon down below, take you to my channel. There's over 50 different videos to choose from birds in flight, flash photography during the day and at night, and a host of other things like reviews on cameras, accessory reviews. Click on my icon down below, take you to my channel, and just remember, if you don't do, you don't get. So get out there and start photographing and filming wildlife. See ya.